I just thought I'd go over and recap on some of the things that have been going on with and that I've been doing with this Royal Enfield Crusader, which came back because the owner said there was lots of oil coming out the breather pipe. So he put this catch bottle on there, and he told me that I think he did about a 20 or 25 mile ride on it, and reckoned he got about 150 cc of oil blown out the engine and caught in the bottle. Well, I think I did about 10 miles on it today, but and I got that as a result, and we'll come to that a bit more in a minute. But I just want to go over a few of the things that I've done to try and resolve the problem, and the main one was I think the fitting of a new oil pump, which obviously I've discussed already, and that's in there. A whole new assembly, the pump disc and the two plungers and everything. The old ones were very worn. I've also I got a bit of aluminium debris out of the scavenge pipe between the crankcase and the suction filter for the scavenge pump, which the piece of aluminium was almost the diameter of the scavenge pipe itself, and it was right over the end of it in the filter compartment. So I don't think the engine was perhaps scavenging as well as it should have done either before, even, you know, or as well as it could have done even with the worn oil pump. So it's had that sort of slight blockage dealt with, and also, as I've said, the new oil pump. So I thought that would only help matters. I took the breather body off the crankcase and had a look in there. The owner had fitted some discs which he got from Hitchcock's, because I said to him that there was a possibility that there might not be any discs in there when he mentioned the wet sumping before he brought the bike back to me, and sure enough he said there weren't. So he got some from Hitchcock's, fibre discs rather than the old hard steel discs that you used to get, and also, as I mentioned before, they were convex or concave if you like. Well, I made sure that I put them in that way up if you like, so that when they dropped down they'd make a good seal around the hole, so that the crankcase would be less likely to be able to draw air in, and also blowing out with any oil that might be among the air being blown out, because it'd be underneath the sort of dome of the convex or concave breather discs. It would tend to sort of help deflect it rather than encourage it to go up and out. But even so, obviously we've still had a bit coming out there, there's no denying that. Other stuff, I noticed when the engine was running and I had it nice and hot on here, and I'd hold steady revs on it and let it tick over, all sorts of things, that if you held about, I'm guessing 3,000 or 4,000 revs on for half a minute, whatever, things would be pretty clear at the end of the breather pipe. But if you throttled off and let it tick over for a few seconds, it would spit some oil, then that would settle and go away. It would do that to a more sort of aggressive degree if I had the oil filler cap slightly loose, and I did that because I had considered drilling a pinhole in it, as some of them have, but I wanted to see what the effects of that might be, so I loosened it off, and it seemed to make matters worse as far as the oil splatter was concerned. So because from there is a route all the way through various passageways and whatever right into the crankcase, so undo that, and when the piston's going up, it'll be able to draw air into the crankcase. So it seems, on this engine at least, it likes to have that fastened shut very tight, and that helped. Another one along a similar line was, again, the owner had mentioned an oil leak from this screw here, and I attended to that as well. I've put a fibre washer under the head of that one, and that is actually, I'll show you with a damaged crankcase that I've got in a minute, but that is very, very close internally to a weir where the clutch and a primary chain, their fling of oil is taken advantage of to fling the oil back into a little trough and a weir, and that directs the oil back into the oil tank. But also, if this was able to leak a bit of oil out, that would have been able to draw air in or allow air in as well. So got that nice and oil tight and airtight as well. So, and likewise the rocker cover, I nipped that down, because again, if there's any leakage there of any oil coming out, you can bet your bottom dollar that air might also get sucked in or blown out. Now over here I've got this scrap crankcase from an earlier incarnation of what I call our Crusader racer, because that was always blowing up, and you see nasty hole there where I think conrod came through. It also punched another hole there. That was on a dyno, it did that actually. I was on it when that happened. Anyway, there is that little weir. You get the oil picked up by the clutch and the primary chain, and I think there's a corresponding ledge probably in the outer cover. The oil gets flung and collected there, and there's a hole leading back into the oil tank compartment, which I might be able to show you just there. Anyway, that is why I thought that screw leaking is actually an oversized screw. The thread in there has been stripped on the engine in this one at some time, and someone's tapped it out quite a bit bigger and put a larger diameter screw in there. Well, there's not much wall there to start with, bearing in mind you've got your paper gasket on that, and like I say, the fact that oil was coming out from the head of that screw on the primary cover suggests to me that oil might, air might possibly also get sucked in. So I've dealt with that anyway, no more leaks from that one. Regarding the engine oil levels and everything, after that ride I came back, and the oil was right down at the bottom low mark of the dipstick, so I ran it for a little while on the bike lift, and then it came back. It's now halfway between the two marks, so it's up and down all over the shop. I'd probably find that if I started it again and ran it, it might come back within just about half an inch of the high mark on the dipstick, minus that of course, which isn't a hell of a lot. So what I want to do next, I think, is empty that catch bottle again, now we've seen it and seen the amount of oil that's in it, and just run the engine some more basically and see what happens. But I've definitely reduced the oil being spat out by the breather and improved the situation. I'm not trying to claim that it's all fixed and excellent and won't leak again, but I'm fairly positive that matters will improve with time and a bit more running, and a few things bedding in might perhaps just do the job. So and I'm going to run it for a little bit longer, both on the bike lift and maybe ride it a few more times. Might as well while it's here and see if it settles down and improves, rather than the owner coming miles and miles and miles away and then getting it home and finding that he's not entirely happy. So I think that's the plan, and we'll probably see a little bit more of this fairly soon.